And we're going to move on now to our next beautiful young lady. Miss Gwen is going to come and share some nuggets.
Each one of you just evoked some stuff in me, and I had been praying and asking God, okay, what would I tell another person, my younger self, now. But one thing about it, and Michelle, she touched on forgiveness, forgiving yourself. I always felt like I was responsible, like it's my fault, because, my mother didn't marry my father. She was 17 when she had me. And my mother, I come to, learn a lot of things. I didn't understand all the whys, but I could see things. I was young, but I had this wisdom of knowing when something was not right or didn't feel right. And I tell my siblings, Mama protected her girls. And I don't think I have to tell y'all what I mean when I say that. Mama protected her girls. And here's the thing that was so ironic. Not only did my mother, she started out slowly, drinking, but my father had already started. And the woman that he married, that his mother wanted him to marry, she became worse. All three of them.
Well, it's something that you mentioned too. She said in that generation, they didn't tell the truth. I find myself even in this generation with my nieces and nephews saying, well, what happened? And then when I ask my siblings that are all older than me, what happened? It's hush. It's
oh yeah,
something happened. But I'm the youngest on the end. So my oldest nephew and niece are 7 years younger than me. We kind of grew up together, and so I'm trying to bridge the gap with information, so that they'll know that this is a trauma that happened in the family, so that you can also be aware spiritually of how that may affect you in your life. And then also with your story, and you started going to church. Was it your relationship with God that helped you to find your confidence? Because in the book we talk about spiritually, finding yourself spiritually, and knowing the direction that you want to go in spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. And Pat talked about that too, how to gauge it and heal beyond the trauma. And nowadays there's counseling available. In your day it may not have been available, but the gist of what I'm hearing you say is that the childhood trauma is real.
It's real.
That Uncle Bobo, and here I also mentioned a professor could do the same thing. So you're so smart. I want to talk to you. And how do you address that when a man is coming on to you and you don't even know what to do about what you feel? So being aware is the biggest thing. And also taking your power back. How did you take your power back from all of that, Miss Gwen, as an adult? Coming into your adulthood, getting married, and realizing, that happened when I was a child. I don't want this to happen to my kids. This is what I'm going to do to make sure that it doesn't happen. This is what I have to do on the inside to make sure that I'm okay. Because those young women, they might not have the family support that's going to say, hey, I got you, like your mother did. They may have the kind of mom that says, oh, you saying my boyfriend slept with you? Oh, so you trying to take my man? Instead of being like your mother and say, get away from my girls. It's like, well, if you give me a piece of crack, you can have one of them. So how do the person that is going through it get to back to a place of stability and believing in herself as a young woman that it's not her fault?
It took a long time. And I can tell you now, even in my 70 years, when I sit around when I'm in his house, as I talk to the Lord more. I use this time of my being here by myself, that when I have these thoughts or whatever, God, all right, I need you to help me here. So, and at that point, and I said, as of this day, and you spoke about it a few minutes ago, I told him, I said, as of this day, everything stops with me. Generational curses from his side, from my side, it stops with me. And the one thing I tried to do also was not to repeat the same thing that happened. If this is a generational thing, that means whatever I'm doing or not doing, then let it stop with me. Show me what I'm doing, Lord, that will not cause the same thing. Because a lot of people don't understand that even though you try not to repeat the same things that you grew up with,
Right.
whatever it is that's there, it's there, and the result is going to be the same.
Right.
In raising my children, I did not want those kinds of things. And even with some of the stuff that my husband had, the mother and father, and still there was dysfunction there.
Mhm.
I asked God to show me how to be a wife because I had not that example. I asked him to show me how to be a mother because my children, I tell them all the time. I said, this thing here, I didn't have anybody to say, I love you. I tell people all the time, always put God first. And your relationships, when it comes to the young men, I taught my son that if you consider that you have a mother and two sisters when you're dealing with young ladies, how do you want them to be treated? With my daughters, I had to sometimes be, the kind of the workings of mother and father because my husband's over the road a lot. But letting them know, don't listen to what like you say, hear these things that they're saying to you. And don't just give yourself. If you give yourself, you're giving all of you.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me when I said when you can have a lot of relationships or whatever, but when you give yourself, when you wholly give yourself, you're giving all of you. You don't want to do that. You may have to don't listen to your peers, don't listen to everybody else, because the outside now is so much stronger now that narcissistic spirit is a stronghold that's been pulling on young people now. See about yourself, it's me, myself. It doesn't matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Yet it's still what is being produced now. You're not whole.
And I encourage the young ladies also, and I'm gonna put a pin in it right here. I encourage the young ladies also in this book, understand what narcissistic game players are. Understand the spirit of narcissism. If you understand that, it'll save you from a whole bunch of heartache in friendships, in relationships, and family relationships. Because sometimes you have that narcissistic spirit in your family, and you don't even know why they're treating you that way.
Yes.
You have it in there. And so thank you for sharing, and thank you for bringing that up as well, because that's one of the very, very important points. So we're going to wrap it up, and we thank you, Ms. Gwen, for all of your wisdom and everything you said today. And we're going to wrap it up. We're going to bring Michelle, and I'm going to bring Pat back down to the stage. So ladies, if you could just tell me in 2 quick sentences, what is your main concern for the next generation? What would you want them to have? What is your main concern?